We're well into 2026 at this point, with all of the January 1st sets having been released, all of the March 1st Smart Play sets having been revealed, and yet there are still allegedly over 30 LEGO Star Wars sets to release for 2026. Or are there? Because the rumors seem to be changing, and some of them might not be coming out till 2027, if ever. So in this video, I put together for you all of the current info on every LEGO Star Wars 2026 set rumor, and we are going to go in release date order with the unknown or potentially pushed back or canceled sets at the end of the video, so make sure you stick around for that. But we'll start out on March 1st, and while we do have all 8 of the Smart Play sets releasing on March 1st that have already been revealed, we potentially have one more set with the 30728 Razor Crest Polybag. This will be $5 with 74 pieces. Won't include any minifigs, of course, but it would be a nice addition to the Polybag lineup for 2026 because the Razor Crest will, of course, appear in the Mandalorian movie and actually be getting a larger set that we'll discuss here in a minute. Now, moving on to May 1st, we'll start with the May the 4th be with you promo, starting hot here. The 40917, the Dark Saber, is a gift with purchase, so it doesn't cost anything. It'll probably be free with purchases of about $150 or $175 if I had to guess, and we don't know the piece count at this point in time. It also theoretically could include a minifig, but I would not bet on it. Now, historically with builds like this, both of Luke's lightsabers and Yoda's lightsaber, it has just been the hilt, and I think we can expect the same here, although if it actually had the blade part of the Darksaber, it would be way cooler. I just, again, would not bet on seeing anything more than kind of the basic standard, cheapest version of the set for them to make. But yeah, the Darksaber, given its relevance in recent seasons of The Mandalorian, does make sense as a May 4th promo with the Mandalorian movie coming out. I just wish we were getting minifigs with the May 4th promo. That's always a big downer when we don't get minifigs, but the Darksaber still could be a very cool promo. Next up, we have the 75442 UCS Mando's N1 Starfighter, and this is supposed to be the May 4th UCS set, of course. It is allegedly going to have some drum lacquered chrome in it. I would not expect it to be all chromed across the board. That's just not going to happen. There's no way, but to see some level of chrome with some tactful application could be pretty cool. Price for this one is the standard $240 with 1,809 pieces, and if I had to bet any money, we're getting a Mandalorian minifig in this one. It'll probably be the standard one in Beskar armor. I'm kind of hoping it'll be something new and unique, exclusive to this UCS Mando's N1 Starfighter, but I wouldn't bet on that. I would kind of lean towards it being the standard thing here. And then as far as the Grogu in this set, we are rumored to be getting a new Grogu mold starting in May, and that is supposed to be included here and with any of the other Mandalorian sets that we talk about. But we're supposed to be getting a new Grogu mold, hopefully looking much better than the previous baby body mold for Grogu, because yeah, that was a good simple way to do it, but they can do a lot better, and I'm very excited to see what that's going to look like, and we should see that first with this Mando's N1 Starfighter set. Next, we have the 2 sets today that I believe have been rumored the longest. We've been talking about them since like August of 2025, with the 75438 Yoda bust at $50 with 399 pieces, and the 75439 Darth Vader bust at $60 with 349 pieces. A lot less pieces on Vader for $10 more, but of course, every piece is made different, so who knows. Of course, both of these are going to get the minifigure with Yoda and Darth Vader, and that is going to be much akin to the 2 Marvel busts that we have seen so far. Like the Iron Man one here, you're going to get the minifigure alongside the bust. Now, the bust is a lot smaller than the helmets, so that's something to consider as well. It's a very different style of build, but it actually can be quite a clean one. It's something that I think I will appreciate if it is done well. Minifig-wise, of course, nothing to be too excited here. It's Yoda and Darth Vader. Those are a dime a dozen throughout the history of LEGO Star Wars, but still kind of opening the door to a lot of potential stuff in the future, like if they did a General Grievous bust or a Count Dooku bust or whatever. For some of those figures that people have been wanting but not getting, there's a lot of potential there in the future, but yeah, right now, Darth Vader, Yoda, the boring but necessary additions to a subline like that. The next 5 May 1st sets should all be based on the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, and that starts with the most boring one, I would say, the 40856 Mandalorian and Grogu allies and villains brickheads. Of course, with a price, I believe, rumored to be between $40 and $50. It's going to include both good and bad guys. It should include Mando and Grogu. I would be shocked if it doesn't include both of those, right? It's literally in the title. And then you're probably going to have something like Zeb and a Stormtrooper and maybe another bad guy, or maybe a more even split of 2 good guys, 2 bad guys, who knows, right? But a lot of potential there for some cool brickheads, I would say. Now, the actual like system sets for this, these are, by the way, not smart play sets, they are normal sets. We have the 75444 AT-RT attack. It's going to be $45 with 297 pieces. Mando and, of course, that new Grogu, probably a guarantee in this set, and then some other characters, hopefully relevant to the scene or scenes that the AT-RT is in. We don't know at this point if it is going to be one AT-RT or multiple. I would think of this set more akin to the 2013 and 2019 ATRT sets, just a bigger ATRT with a few figures and maybe a little side build. And at $45, it's going to be crazy overpriced, but that's what I'm frankly expecting for this set. Set 75445 is going to be the Anzellan Starship at $70 with 700 pieces, and this is the Babu Frick species, so we should get, I would hope, at least 3 different Babu Frick-esque minifigures, like actual Babu Frick, and then a couple of different ones, and then the actual Starship, we just don't know what it looks like, so not really much else to say there. Set 75446 is a buildable Grogu for $130 with 1,200 pieces, and we do have the Grogu with hover pram currently on shelves, so I thought it was a little bit redundant, but this of course is going to be just Grogu, more like the 2020 Grogu set, just more expensive, a little bit bigger, I would imagine. And of course, unlike the Grogu with hover pram, it won't be one that's like made to play with necessarily. It'll be more of a display one, like a lot of the other buildable characters that you're maybe more used to. So definitely something that could be cool to people that didn't get that original one from 2020. Also, if it looks much better than 2020, that would go a long way. I'm not really sure if they'll be able to upgrade it that much. So there's a lot of questions with this one as to whether or not I think it'll go down as a good or necessary set. I guess it's necessary from the standpoint that they're releasing a Mando and Grogu movie, and Grogu is like the hottest thing since sliced bread for Star Wars, so they have to make a Grogu buildable character. But anyway, moving on. So 75447, another kind of expected one with the Razor Crest. This one is going to be $150 with 930 pieces. That's $20 more and about 100 pieces less than the 2020 version of the Razor Crest. We can also expect this one to be in a different colorway than the one from 2020. Now, it won't be too significant. It's just got a little bit more yellow on top, but it will look different enough, I'd say. The build, of course, given it's a much different piece count, will be substantially different. Hopefully not too small. Given it's more expensive than the version from 2020, I would hope they're able to retain the same size, but the lower piece count does scare me. We saw this play out with the 2025 Republic Juggernaut, or more aptly named the Clone Tiny Tank. So hopefully the Razor Crest doesn't get the Tiny Tank treatment here, and I'm kind of excited for it. I think it could have some very cool minifigures. Like Zeb could really fit in quite a few of these sets. He's the one that I know is going to be there, and like I'm sure there's other characters I'm going to want after watching the movie, but we just haven't had enough footage from trailers and things for me to know what I want out of these sets. So we'll see after we watch the movie probably what should or shouldn't have been here with a set like the Razor Crest. But moving right along into June 1st or potentially June 2nd. I've seen June 2nd attached to the release date for this 75460 X-Wing. It's supposed to be a $70 set, and we don't know the piece count at this point. It is supposed to be from the Mando and Grogu movie, by the way, so this one is apparently, I would assume, going to include some sort of spoiler. Otherwise, why would they release it a month after everything else that's coming out for the movie? It also may just not include any sort of spoiler, and it's just one of those weird things that LEGO does from time to time. But a $70 X-Wing, we can expect, given the version from 2021 was $50, to be quite similar to that version from 2021 as far as the size. Hopefully, maybe a bit of a different color scheme, but it really just depends on what X-Wing they're modeling it after. Who knows what we're going to see there. We do have 2 other sets releasing for June, either on the 1st or the 2nd. Again, not really sure. Set 75458 with 775 pieces and an unknown price, and set 75461 with, again, an unknown price and 1,028 pieces. So these may also be Mando and Grogu movie sets. We know the set number, the piece count, and the release date. We just really don't have enough to make an educated guess as to what they might actually be. So your guess in the comments is as good as mine. Anyway, moving on to July, there is only one set rumored dropping in July for 2026. It is a age 14 plus set with set number 75459, and there's no price, no piece count, but the release date actually kind of tells us a little something, and that is in 2025, the July 1st release was the Battle Droid with Stap, which was an Amazon exclusive. And so I feel like it's not unfair to assume that this set could also end up being an Amazon exclusive. It's just otherwise a very weird release date. They don't usually historically release LEGO Star Wars sets on July 1st, and that one last year was a very odd one out. And so yeah, we can probably put this down as an Amazon set, but as far as what it is, no info, no idea. Maybe it would be good, right? A super battle droid to go with that battle droid and staff, but usually the Amazon exclusives aren't related to one another, so I wouldn't expect that. Like, you look at Darth Vader's castle, and then the Razor Crest, and this battle droid with staff, like, none of them are ever related, so I wouldn't expect it to be, but just a little hopeful guess there. Now, as far as the August 2026 wave, which is always the most hype wave of the year, we're going to circle right back to it because there's sets like the Bounty Hunter Pursuit that may or may not be coming out in 2026. They might be pushed or canceled. We just don't know. So I want to discuss that a little bit more in depth, but I want to skip right over to September 1st with the 75456 Advent Calendar at $45. We don't know anything about the Advent Calendar yet, but that is going to be coming out in September. And then in October, we've got our UCS set, and I assume there will be a promo with this, but that's not currently rumored with any bit of information, even a set number. We do have set number 75457, though. At least the strongest rumor currently out there is that it would be a UCS Super Star Destroyer. I would put this one in the questionable rumors category for now. Like, all of the other rumors that we've talked about so far are like certainly happening, I would say. But the Super Star Destroyer and a lot of the ones that we're about to talk about, frankly, are a little bit more questionable. That doesn't mean they aren't going to happen. There are some that I'm going to talk about that I'm sure are going to happen. But anyway, back to the Super Star Destroyer for October. I think it would be a fantastic UCS set. It's a set that desperately needs to be remade, and I would guess it's going to come out at literally $600 or $700. That's probably the reasonable price point, given the version from 2011 was $400, and this one's going to probably have more pieces, be a bit of a cleaner model. And as far as minifigs go, I'm really hoping they bring back the whole Bounty Hunter crew, including some of the ones that we didn't see in that original 2011 set, like Zuckuss. Like, we didn't see him until the 2019 20th anniversary Slave 1, so he would be a very cool figure to get in a set like this. And so hopefully we can see a ton of cool figures in this set, but they could also retract back to what they do with sets like the Venator and the 2019 Star Destroyer, where they only do 2 figures. And that would technically be acceptable, but given the 2011 Super Star Destroyer had, I think, 5 minifigures, I think that would be my bare minimum for a set like this. So if this set ends up being real, we'll see what direction they end up going in. But that brings us back to the potential August 1st sets, but also some of these are potentially 2027 sets, or according to some leakers, they may also just be canceled outright. And we really don't know what's what at this point. So I've kind of broken it down into sets that I think I'm pretty sure are going to come out, and sets that I'm a little bit more hazy on, at least for 2026. They may either be canceled or pushed to 2027. So as far as sets that I think we're just probably getting, we are getting more Smart Play sets, and I would think that would come out this year. I would be pretty surprised if LEGO dropped 8 Smart Play sets on March 1st and did this big push behind it, and then didn't follow it up with anything later in the summer. And so the current 3 rumored extra Smart Play sets are supposed to be an Ewok Attack at $30. I cannot imagine it will be very good at $30. You look at this Ewok Attack set from 2011, and it was $25, and then you think about how overpriced a lot of these Smart Brick sets are. What are they going to do with an Ewok Attack set at $30? It cannot be good. I mean, shoot, the 4+ ATSD 4 years ago was $35. This is going to be cheaper than that. Like, this cannot be a good set. But Ewok Attack allegedly coming out. You also have the Echo Base plus Snowspeeder at around $140, and this is one that I'm a little excited for, but I know because of the Smart Brick, it will be heavily compromised in a lot of ways. But I love Hoth, and I've been waiting to see them do a new version of the Echo Base. Just unfortunately, this is going to be part of a subline that is generally not good. So yeah, a lot of potential there for cool minifigs, though. Think of it like Yavin, but also it's a Smart Brick set, so they'll probably not have as many minifigs as a set like Yavin. Actually, that's really disappointing to think about. And then the third Smart Play set apparently is going to be R2-D2, like a buildable character R2-D2. And, could have been a cool set, but as we know, the sounds that the Smart Brick makes aren't very good, and so I wouldn't expect it to be a good sound and everything. We also know the builds for the Smart Brick sets aren't that good, so it's not like it's going to look anywhere near as nice as that 2024 25th anniversary R2-D2. So I don't know, that could be a weird one, but I'm pretty sure we're going to see those 3 sets at some point in the summer of 2026. Now, there are other sets that I think we're probably getting, like the 75455 Boba Fett. And it helps a lot when set numbers are attributed to these. Like, that means someone somewhere has found it in some sort of system and has figured it out, right? So the 75455 Boba Fett at $170, basically a guarantee. And this one is supposedly going to be quite similar to the buildable Iron Man that we saw from Marvel earlier in 2026, which would be amazing because I think that Iron Man set looks so cool. And to get a Boba Fett like that, if it's well done, will just be amazing. And honestly, hopefully they do more in this little bit of subline with these taller buildable characters like actual people, right? Like, a lot of the buildable characters that Star Wars has been doing are droids and non-human shapes, like Grogu or the Ewok. I guess Chewbacca would technically be more human, but yeah, more like this Boba Fett, more like the Iron Man in Star Wars would be cool because you could do a Stormtrooper, Darth Vader. There's a lot you could do if it's done well that I would love to see from something like this. So a lot of potential here with the Boba Fett, kind of a surprise one that nobody's talking about, but I think has a lot of potential. Also, hopefully with the minifigure, it'll get the cape and everything anything, but who knows? You know, if it's going to be Lego Star Wars, they'll probably cheap out. These next two sets are from The Mandalorian, and I would guess these have to be for August 1st, although I don't think I've seen a exact release date put out there by a reputable leaker, but that also might have happened. I might just not have seen it. Anyway, so 75453, the Sandcrawler with a Mudhorn included at $200. Could be a pretty dang cool set, I believe, from the season 1 of Mandalorian, and this could mean the return of the same Mandalorian minifig that we just saw retire from the UCS Razor Crest. I would hate that, not because it would ruin the exclusivity of the original figure, but more so because I'm in favor of getting more variants of a character whenever possible, and in this case, you have a perfect opportunity to include, basically you would have the same base as that version of Mando in the UCS Razor Crest, but he would be super muddy from having the fight with the Mudhorn. And the Mudhorn being included, I think lends credence to the idea that that's what they would do here, but then again, they could go cheap and easy and just include the same exact Mando that we saw in the UCS Razor Crest. I don't know. I would not love that. I would prefer to get a new variant of Mando, and I think that's what we'll get here, but of course the opportunity is there for them to just include the same figure. Anyway, we should be getting some new variants of Jawas in this set, and Kuiil could also make an appearance here. There's a lot of potential, so hopefully some good stuff out of the Sandcrawler set. As far as the size of the build, though, I wouldn't expect it to be much bigger than 2018 was the last one, and it was a pretty small Sandcrawler at $140 for the time. It could be a little bit bigger than that, but I mean, again, Clone Tiny Tank situation, any of these sets, even though they're more expensive, could be much smaller than previous versions. So that's the Sandcrawler. Next, we have the AT-AT, which I've seen a couple of different prices rumored on, $160 or $180, and I'm really not sure, like maybe $150 has also been out there, so it's somewhere in that range. It's going to be an AT-AT. It's from the Mandalorian movie, I think. Like, what more do we know about that at this point? Like, it's going to have some Imperials with it, maybe a speeder bike or two. But yeah, at this point, it's an AT-AT from the Mandalorian movie, and honestly not worth discussing much more. Now, the rest of these sets, I'm a lot less sure are actually going to release this year based on the rumblings that I've been seeing from a lot of the reputable leakers out there. There's a couple of sets, set 75450, that we know nothing about. There's no info, and that might just not be a set that's releasing. And set 75451 at $50 with no further info. That one should be coming out, but I'm just going to throw it in here as a set for the year that might exist. The rest of these sets, it's really anyone's guess. We have the Star Wars mini movie posters at $50, and frankly, it would make a lot more sense if this set was coming out in 2027, because that's the 50th anniversary of Star Wars, and this would be the perfect type of set to have a 50th anniversary brick and a 50th anniversary logo on the box and special packaging, and so it does actually make a lot of sense for that to be a 2027 set. Again, $50, I assume it'll include at least the original 3, right? It's going to have the original 3, but I really think it'll have the original 6 Star Wars movies, could have up to 9. I would hope the original 6. How are you going to do 50 years and not, like, at least acknowledge the 6 that George Lucas made? That would be kind of sad to me. Anyway, Star Wars mini movie posters, $50. And then there's also the Icons of Star Wars set at $80. And again, it makes a lot of sense that some of these sets might actually be 2027 sets when you think about it, because the Icons of Star Wars, 50th anniversary of Star Wars, like, that's too good of a thing to line up to have be off by literally 4 months if you release it in August instead of January. So those two could very easily be 2027 sets, and I would just not be surprised. Like, having heard that at first, I was really shocked. I was like, it makes no sense. Why would that happen? How could we be getting rumors for 2027 sets so early? But it has happened in the past. We have gotten set rumors in January for the next year and a little bit further out, I believe, back in 2019 for the 2020 sets. So it has happened this early before. It's not completely out of the question that we are seeing literally 2027 rumors right now. That continues on with the Yoda at $150, and this one, because of its higher price, I would be more surprised, because usually in the first half of the year, they don't release such expensive sets. So Yoda, I would think, would be a 2026 set, but it's a buildable Yoda, $150. Gonna include a Yoda minifigure and a plaque, and it's just another one that I'm like a little surprised they're remaking so soon, or perhaps it's gonna be more akin to the Boba Fett. That would make a lot more sense if it was a much more super accurate, detailed model. I don't know. Like the Boba Fett. I don't know if it would work well like that, but there is potential that that could be way different than you or I are imagining. The buildable Darth Vader minifigure, like upscaled minifigure, is supposed to be $100. The price on that one is still shocking to me, given the Harry and Hermione, I believe, were $120 for 2, and a lot of the single ones these days are like $50. So maybe it's a different scale than a lot of the other Lego Star Wars buildable upscaled minifigures. Like Santa was $50 or $60. So how is Darth Vader 100? Like, that would really prove obviously the Star Wars tax is real, but this would be a whole nother level of Star Wars tax, literally double. We just don't know how big it's going to be at this point, I guess, but a Darth Vader big fig could be pretty neat. Luke's X-Wing microfighter, if you were asking me in 2017, I'd be like, well, yeah, obviously this is going to be a January 2027 set, but in recent years, they have been releasing microfighters at different times, most recently in June for Plo Koon, and I believe June of 2024 for the Captain Rex's Y-Wing microfighter, so no current rumored June microfighter, which I think is weird. I don't know why they wouldn't have done that again, but Luke's X-Wing microfighter, $15. Who knows where that one is going to come exactly. Then we have the Bespin Duel, which has a currently unknown price. I don't know, it's just one of those weird things that makes me think it might be a 2027 set, or it could be a canceled set and not a summer 2026 set, because at least with everything else, we have pricing on it. So I think it would be weird if this one ended up being a summer 2026 set and we didn't have the price yet, if everything else is rumored with prices, but you never know. Rumors work in weird ways. We also have the Anakin Starfighter at $30. This could very easily be a 2027 set as well, given how cheap it is, but it could also very easily be a summer set. Of course, Anakin with the arm printing is what I would definitely want to see out of that set. And then who knows, it could have, of course, R2. And then the third minifig is the real question mark. Like, you could get something really cool there as a third minifig in an Anakin Starfighter, but then again, it's modern day Lego Star Wars. They might just give you two like they did in 2018 and wipe their hands clean. The Ewok Village, I would be quite sad if it wasn't actually a summer 2026 set. I feel like it has to be, just given its $180 price tag. It would fill a big slot for August of this year. It's something people have been asking for a long time, and think of it much like Yavin, where you're going to get a bunch of minifigs and a build that's decent, but not too crazy good like the actual UCS Ewok Village from 2013, or Master Builder series, I guess, if you want to retroactively call it that. There's, of course, the potential for Force Ghosts in a set like this, and frankly, a lot more. We're just not going to see all the bells and whistles like we would see on a full-on Master Builder series version of the set, so that's definitely going to be disappointing to some, but at least a decent possible playset version of an Ewok Village for 2026. The other one is the Imperial Shuttle at $140, and I can't remember if it was exactly rumored to be a Mandalorian set, but it would make a ton of sense if it was, because at $140, it would be about the same size as what we saw in 2015 for the Imperial Shuttle, and it could include some banger figures that we see interact with and on the Imperial Shuttle in the Mandalorian show, and potentially in the movie. You never know what we'll see in the movie, of course, so there's a lot of potential there, and I feel like that's another set that's probably going to come out on August 1st. I would bet on it, and then the Bounty Hunter Pursuit is another one I would also bet on coming out on August 1st and not being a delayed or canceled set. I just feel like that's something that's another one people have been wanting, but then again, it could make a lot more sense as a 2027 set, because that would be also the 25th anniversary of Attack of the Clones.
But I want it now!
Which, look, Lego has things like the Slave One, right? They released two Jango Fett Slave Ones and Jango Fett's helmet and the Camino training facility all last year in 2025. And you could have looked at those rumors and said, well, why don't they just wait 2 years for the anniversary? Like, not everything is held off for an anniversary. That's always a bit silly to me that that's a thing. Like, they do plenty of things on years that aren't anniversary years, and it's just like, yeah, they just make Lego Star Wars sets. Don't overthink it. But the Bounty Hunter Pursuit, just given that some of the leakers have put out the idea that some of these won't be released till 2027, that would be one you could talk yourself into not being released until 2027 because of the anniversary ties. But then again, that assumes they would actually do anything else with the anniversary, like include brick and stuff, and I'm not really seeing that for Attack of the Clones. You do have a $60 price tag on this one. The guaranteed minifigs, of course, are going to be Zam Wessel, Anakin, and Obi-Wan, and the hope, of course, really is to see the addition of like a Dexter Jetster, that nice fourth figure that doesn't really fit in the builds, but figures don't have to fit in the builds. They include plenty of extra figures all the time. Don't defend Lego for not doing it if they don't do it. Dexter Jetster should be here. If they have no plans to ever make a Dex's Diner, he should be here, or he should be a future anniversary figure. I guess that would work too, but like, he would really just fit in this set, and so I'm hoping to see him here. So that is every rumor, I believe, for 2026 or potentially 2027 so far. Assuming I counted right, I currently have 34 sets on my list, which is ironic because my YouTube channel name used to be MandRproductions 34, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, that's a lot of sets to potentially come out this year. It's not crazy given there's a movie coming out and everything. Like, don't be surprised if all of those sets do come out this year, but yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that some of those could very easily be 2027 sets, and no, some paper. You could also have some canceled sets. You never know. Like the smart play sets could just outright get canceled if these ones flop really quickly. You just never know, but probably not. So let me know your thoughts on all of the rumors down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed, hit the like button and make sure you subscribe to the channel. I keep you up to date on every LEGO Star Wars set rumor as they happen, as well as some big videos like this. And of course, I'll be reviewing all of those sets as they come out. See you guys later.